For the last time, let's hear it for City of Statues.
For sure, if we fade, then it's a lie. But you know we are the sun, and we'll walk.
This is Lost Thoughts, episode 17, entitled The End. This week we'll figure out how I felt about the end, continue to not like Kate up until the end, and interpret the end of the end. After 6 years, 121.5 produced hours, a whole lot of tears, and an ending that will be debated for decades, Lost has ended. Let it be known that the show rewards those who stick with it. Much like life, isn't it? Just because something gets too difficult doesn't mean that we throw it into a corner and ignore it, especially if it's something we truly desire. Watching Lost through the seasons, it truly is what most people described it as. A mosaic. Every season we watch is another step back. Every step back and we realize that the story is much bigger than we originally thought. In season 1, my ultimate thought was, what was in the hatch? During season 2, I just wanted to know what the heck was with the others. Season 3, my mind was blown open when you realize that Jack's flash scenes were in the future. Season 4's main question was who was in the coffin and how the heck are they going to get back to the island? Season 5 blew my mind again. Literally. Season 6 ended with a deep sense of satisfaction. What truly happened? I can only give my opinion. Lost ended in a way that not many people were able to predict. Since season 1, a lot of people kept predicting that the island itself was purgatory and they were all dead. That was not the case. The island was real. The crash was real. The events of the days after the crash, the time jumps, the 3 years spent in the 70s, the atomic bomb, and the final battle with the Man in Black were all real. The flash sideways were the only thing that wasn't truly real. It was a reality created by the Losties, a place where they could go so they could remember and then move on. I look at the finale episode with an emotion that I felt when I graduated high school and college. It's the end of something and the beginning of something new. I didn't understand everything along the way, but regardless, it was completed. And in knowing that, I become more and more satisfied with what I saw in the end. When trying to explain a mystery in life, people always say, well, we'll find out in the end. It's not the greatest answer, and it might not even be true. For when we die, are we truly going to be concerned with a little mystery that we experienced in life? The mysteries on the show are a backdrop to the main storyline. A background in which our characters experienced a life-altering redemption. If anything, the main thing that kept me involved over the past 6 years was the fact that characters could be redeemed in miraculous ways. The mysteries are not meant to be answered. By giving away the why of every mystery just pulls back the curtain and ruins the effect of what we saw. Are there answers that I truly want? Of course. Did it ruin my Lost experience to not get those answers? No. Because I was able to get closure on the characters that I spent the last 6 seasons with. In the end, everyone dies. Just like life, just like Lost. Some of us are confident in where we're gonna go, some aren't. Some may have all the answers they need, some don't. If anything, the end of Lost is to make you think. I have theories upon theories as to how things truly happen. Let's just get started and see where it takes us. Keep in mind that despite knowing the ending, I will still refer to the original island timeline as the Dud World and the Flash Sideways as the Boom World. It's just easier for me. We start off with a montage of characters from both realities. We get a beautiful cross of our characters in both realities preparing for their days from different perspectives. Knowing that this is the last opening shot I will ever have of Lost, I just stared in silence. Boom World, where we see the coffin of Christian Shepherd finally delivered to the church where he used to have his funeral. Desmond is there to pick it up by pretending to be someone that works for the church. Are you a priest or something? Or something. Has Desmond taken up the position of forerunner or something, like John the Baptist? Christian Shepherd. Seriously? Finally, someone on the show questions that name. Desmond tells Kate that no one can tell her why she was brought here. And he's not talking about the church, he's talking about this reality. The overarching reason for the Flash Sideways in this episode is to reveal to us what it is and why it is. Desmond wants to leave, but leave and go where? That's the idea. They've been hinting at it all season. Dud World, with Jack standing in the middle of the water, very solemn. Sawyer walks up and wants to know what the burning bush had to say for itself. Jack tells Kate, Hurley, and Sawyer the plan. They have to go to the heart of the island. Jack doesn't fully understand what and why he's doing, he just knows that he has to. Sawyer believes that Desmond is the key to the whole thing, but Jacob never mentioned Desmond. Yeah, dude, he's worse than Yoda. So Sawyer's gonna go get the magic leprechaun out of the well. And Hurley nails the best line in recorded history. I've got a bad feeling about this. Fantastic Star Wars nod. Boom World at the Flightline Hotel where Hurley and Sayid pull up in the yellow Hummer. This is the same hotel that Locke tried to propose to Helen and she rejected him. And the same place that Sayid brought Hurley to after he broke him out of the mental hospital. Based on the conversation, we can assume that Hurley has all of the memories of the Dud World and Sayid still doesn't. Hurley knocks on Charlie's door, and it's amazing to see the smile on Hurley's face. Think about it, Hurley hasn't seen Charlie since they said goodbye to him in Season 3 before he died. Even after Hurley tries to convince him, Charlie still won't come to the concert, so Hurley tranks him in the back. I love how Hurley closed both his eyes before shooting. What was that? That was Charlie. Dud World, and why did you take this job, Jack? Because the island is the only thing he has left. It's the only thing he hasn't managed to ruin. Kate says that nothing is irreversible, the same line that Jack told Locke in the Boom World. Elsewhere, Ben finds Sawyer spying on Flock. Desmond's not in the well, someone beat him to the punch. Oh well, pun. Sawyer explains that they aren't candidates anymore, gets in another final shot at Ben, and walks away. Flock doesn't need to go after Sawyer. Flock tells Ben that he's going to watch the island sink to the bottom of the ocean. And now that the sun is up, Flock can see that there was a dog there. And right on cue, there's Vincent. It's so nice that his schedule permitted him to appear in this episode, even though the dog who plays Vincent is a girl. Except recently a second dog that was a boy. But regardless, the dog runs up to a waking Desmond, who's been taken in by none other than Rose and Bernard. Rose honestly has no idea where they are in time because the sky keeps lighting up, but the fact of the matter is she doesn't care. All that matters is that she's with Bernard. At the very least, I'm okay with the fact that someone's taking care of that dog. And of course, Rose reminds us that they have retired, they want no part of this game, so Desmond has to move on after he eats. Bernard comes back and apologizes because Flock has found them. Desmond must go with Flock or Rose and Bernard are dead. Flock will make it hurt, so Desmond of course agrees to go with him as long as he never lays a hand upon Rose and Bernard. So Desmond decides to go with Flock, and he has a hunch as to where he's taken him. Flock is definitely beginning to doubt, but then he's distracted by the sound of a walkie-talkie. And yes, called it, Ben is still in contact with Miles because he's gonna double-cross Flock. And yes, Richard's still alive. And Richard still wants to blow up the plane? Come on. Boom World, we're at the site of the concert and Miles drives in. He recognizes Sayid in Hurley's yellow Hummer and calls Sawyer. Wow, that was a lot of characters. Wait, Miles said that only one person left the restaurant alive? I thought Sun and Jin left alive. Based on what this reality ends up being, how are people allowed to even die? Because Sayid is still on the loose, Miles wants Sawyer to go to the hospital to protect Sun. At this point, totally called Juliet coming in. Come on, we all wanted it, expected it, and it happened! Juliet's there to check on the baby, and in a recreation of the episode DOC, Date of Conception, Sun has flashes of the Dud World. Sun remembers, Jin looks at the screen, has his flashes, and I seriously got chills. Their memories only go so far as the submarine because, hint hint, that's when they died. It's a girl, her name's Ji-yeon, they remember. And now they're speaking English. I guess this kind of explains why Sun lost her ability to speak English on the Dud World, because for a brief moment she was connected to her Boom World counterpart. I mean, hitting her head may have messed up the sending and receiving signals, but that's for a theory later. Now Jin and Sun may be on the same page as Desmond and Hurley. Fantastic. Dud World, and Sawyer's running to catch up with Jack and the others. He fills them in on what's going on, but Jack knows that they're all going to end up at the same place. Then what? Then it ends. The overhead shot of them walking is classic Lost. Boom World, and Jack talks with Locke about the impending surgery. Jack's very confident that it'll work. There's always a chance that he could kill him. What? I'll see you on the other side? love it. If he can fix Flock, that's all the peace he'll need. Not necessarily. Dudworld and Miles and Richard ready the boat to head to Hydra Island. Richard mentions how a storm is coming, but then Miles spots a gray hair on Richard's head. Obviously, we're to assume for the first time in a long time Richard is beginning to age. And Richard's reaction is priceless. His look as he stares at the hair is heartwarming because of the happiness that he feels at finally aging. And it's filled with tension because he still wants to live. The two paddle off to the island, and Miles' spidey senses go off again. The submarine captain floats by, and no, not possible. It can't be. It's Frank Lapidus. I knew that he had to be alive. You cannot kill off a main character off screen or not mention him. Richard explains their plan about blowing up the plane, but Frank has a better idea. I mean, the man's a pilot. Meanwhile, Flock and his group walk up to Jack and his group, and Kate starts going berserk. She's trying to shoot Flock. Stupid Kate. Flock isn't surprised that Jack was the one who was chosen, to which Jack replies he wasn't chosen, he volunteered. Perhaps it's similar to the Christian belief that God has chosen his followers, but they still have to make their own choice to follow him. Jack says he's gonna go with Flock to the source of the light. Jack explains to Flock what Flock is going to do once he gets there. Jack knows that it's not gonna happen that way. Jack's gonna kill him. How? It's a surprise. Most likely because Jack hasn't figured it out yet. Boomworld, back at the hospital, Juliet and Jack speak. And it's confirmed Juliet's his ex-wife. Called it. It's pretty cool that Jack and Juliet are cool with each other even after a divorce. There's an extra ticket, and of course he suggests Claire. Sawyer shows up, and because they didn't touch each other, there is no Flash. We were so close to a reunion. Dudworld, the entire group is walking to the source, and Sawyer wants to know what's going on. Jack says that Desmond is the surprise to kill Flock. He thinks he's a weapon, but he doesn't know how to use him yet. He knows that Jacob didn't bring Desmond back for no reason. Sawyer knows that it's a heck of a long con to be run by Jacob, if it's true. They get to the bamboo forest, and Flock decides that it's only going to be him, Desmond, and Jack from here on out. Before they go, Hurley throws out the fact that he believes in Jack. And Flock knows that a bad storm is coming. They arrive at the source of the light, and it's not as bright as it once was. For some reason, without discussion, Jack and Flock are on the same page and start readying a rope to tie around Desmond to lower him in. Desmond tries to explain that once he's lowered in, he'll be going somewhere else. Desmond believes what will happen to him is what happened when the giant electromagnet was turned on. He will travel to the Boom World, a place where they can be with their loved ones. So Desmond has his memories of the Boom World. He's the only one who's been able to come back with memories. There are no shortcuts, no do-overs. What happened, happened. All of this matters. Words from Jack that summarize the past 6 years and why he's doing what he's doing. Boomworld, Hurley and Sayid are parked outside at night, and Hurley can't explain to Sayid what they're doing, because there are rules. Wait a minute, how's Hurley know that there are rules? Hurley explains to Sayid that you can't let other people tell you who you are, you have to decide that for yourself. All of a sudden, outside a bar, there's a fight. A man is being beaten, and a girl runs up yelling to leave her brother alone. Sayid runs to the rescue, and of course, it's Shannon. And we have another reunion because the two remember what happened on the island. Nadia was always a dream that Sayid could never attain, and even after he got her, she was quickly taken away from him because she was not meant to be with him. Shannon was. I'm going to assume for a moment that Shannon was the woman that he loved and lost that he wanted back as a promise from Flock. As Sayid and Shannon remember and make out, Boone walks up to Hurley. We're to assume that Boone also has memories of the Dud World, and he's on board with this whole plan somehow. We just never actually see Boone's flashes, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Dud World, and as the rest of the Losties wait, Miles calls via walkie-talkie. He wants them to get over there now so they can all fly off together, but we all forgot about Claire. She was left on Hydra Island to stop anyone from getting to that plane. Richard explains to Claire that they're finally going home. Claire relents, but she doesn't want to go with them. Back at the light cave, Desmond is being prepared to be lowered in, and his plan is to go to where the light is the brightest. Doesn't Flock find it suspect that the one man sworn to stop him from achieving his objective is helping him? Or does Flock simply think that Jack is misguided? And then Flock tries to reminisce about how Desmond was in a hatch and pushing a button and Jack and Flock fought over whether or not they should push it. Jack knows he's nothing like Locke, he only looks like him. Jack finally admits that the real Locke was right about almost everything. He just wishes that he could have told the real Locke when he was still alive. We'll just have to see which one of us is right as Desmond gets to the bottom. Locke and Jack looking down the waterfall into the lake cave is a direct replay of the end of season 1 when they look down the hatch tunnel. Boom World, and David, Juliet, and Claire waiting in line for the concert, but then Juliet is paged and has to go to work. Charlotte wakes up Charlie per instructions written on a piece of paper taped to him. Awesome! I got shot by a fat man. Awesomer. Charlotte walks up to Daniel as to find answers to what to do with Charlie. Daniel, of course, is completely taken with Charlotte, but she doesn't have any flashes. Daniel and Claire sit down at table 23 with Desmond and Kate. Coincidence? No. Then Dr. Pierre Chang introduces the event. Out come Daniel and Driveshaft. Daniel begins playing, and Charlie sees Claire. I'm thinking that he's gonna jump off the stage to be with her, but then she starts having labor pains. Dud World, and at the bottom of the cave, Desmond sees the remains of other people who have been there before. For some reason, there are several shafts leading out from the bottom of this mini lake. And in the middle of that mini lake is a stone plug. Desmond steps in, removes the stone plug, and we hear the noise that happens when the sky lights up. Water stops flowing, the noise subsides, the water drains. Silence. And then, fires of hell? No, I think it's a volcano. Do you remember when we had that episode with the flashbacks of Ben growing up at the Dharma Initiative and he's in that classroom and the teacher's beginning to talk about a volcano that's been dormant on the island for years? Islands in the Pacific are formed by volcanoes, but because of plate tectonics, the source of these volcanoes are continuously moving, thus the chain island of Hawaii. But for some reason, we're to assume that the volcano source underneath this island has remained in the same spot. And now Desmond has removed the plug that has kept it dormant. Desmond yells out as if he knows that he's failed. It looks like you were wrong.